Lunacy of lunacies this week as Australia's most embarrassing and absurd political party, the Greens, turned on its own, turfing out the elderly co-founder of the Queensland branch of the party, Drew Hutton. Hutton was expelled from the party after refusing to delete comments on his Facebook page that the party deemed to be transphobic. But get this, the comments weren't comments Mr. Hutton made, they were comments that other people made on his Facebook page. Mr. Hutton has accused the Greens of trying to stifle free speech. Oh, the irony of it all. And get this for antics worthy of George Orwell's Animal Farm. Drew Hutton told the ABC's 7:30 report that the party has been taken over by a cult of queer and transgender people who've infiltrated all the committees and, as a result, it's bleeding talent.
I've been contacted by 40 former members of the Greens. Now, about half of them have been expelled and the other half have been forced out by being subjected to massive complaints. They've weaponised the complaint system. This faction, this cult that I call them, has taken over all the key committees in the party, including the disciplinary committees. So members are hauled before these committees, as I was, and in a bit of a star chamber, they're expelled. Now, a lot of people don't even want to go through that process because it is so distressing and traumatic, so they just leave the party. We've lost some of the best talent, the best conservationists, best environmental campaigners in the party have left because they've been subject to this really bad treatment by this faction of the Greens.
That's former Greens co-founder Drew Hutton speaking on the ABC's 7:30 report this week. The Greens are sounding even more under siege by a small in-crowd than the Liberal Party and more factional than the Labor Party. Former Greens leaders Bob Brown and Christine Milne say they want Mr Hutton's membership restored pronto. Now, I, frankly, couldn't care less. All of these people are responsible for the decline into leftist lunacy in this country in the past 30 years, and they can suffer the consequences of their own idiotic ideology as far as I'm concerned. But unfortunately, we have to care about the people inside the Greens party today because they have enormous power in this new Australian government. As we've explained in previous episodes, Labor massively controls the House of Representatives now, thanks to the brilliant voting of our fellow Australians in May. And there's going to be no checks and balances because Labor and the Greens combined have got a clear majority in the Senate now. They don't need to consult with any minor parties or on the right or any independents or anyone. And this makes the Greens extremely powerful. They'll have to basically sign off on every new law that this parliament proposes, or it won't be passing. They hold the balance of power. So when three radical leftists like Hutton, Brown and Milne are on the right of the people running the show today in the Greens, well, that tells you all you need to know about how loony left the people who now have control over every law in this country actually are. So hold on to your hats. The opening of the 48th Parliament this week was truly full of brilliance. Labor now has 94 seats in the House of Representatives, a massive majority out of the total seats of 150. And it was terrific to see all the seniority, the life experience, the skill and the talent dealing with the really important stuff on day one. YouTube channel Australians versus the Agenda did a really good job of combining some of the maiden speeches, or as they prefer to call them these days, first speeches of the new Labor MPs. And with the country staring down the barrel of economic ruin and geopolitical insecurity these days, we can all rest comfortably that every one of these new MPs has certainly got their priorities right.
I acknowledge the traditional owners of my electorate, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, as I do the traditional owners of this place, the Ngunnawal people.
It is the honour of my life to stand in this House as the representative for the electorate of Banks. Banks is located on the lands of the Bidjigal people. I'm so pleased to be able to recognise in this great House their culture, their custodianship of the land, air and waterways of Banks.
I wish to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land this Parliament meets on, the Ngunnawal and Ngambri peoples. I pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. These lands were never ceded. They hold the wisdom of over 65,000 years of continuous connection to land, water, sky and spirit. This always was and always will be Aboriginal land.
and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. They've looked after this country since time immemorial, and it's not lost on me the responsibility that I have to live up to that stewardship.
On the lands of the Ngunnawal and Ngambri people, I acknowledge that this is their country. I also acknowledge the traditional custodians of the many First Nations lands across my home state of Western Australia. How lucky we are to live on the lands of our First Nations people, who so generously share it with us. It always was and always will be Aboriginal land.
I would also like to pay my respects to the traditional owners of the land of my community, the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation.
I begin by acknowledging the Ngunnawal and Ngambri people of these lands, and from my home, the Wurundjeri Wurrung people of the Kulin Nation. The simple act of welcome to country is powerful, an act of generosity that invites us to listen, learn and reflect on the stories and wisdom of those who have walked these lands for tens of thousands of years.
I also acknowledge the traditional owners of the land from which I'm visiting, the Yuggera and Turrbal people.
I also acknowledge the Gubbi Gubbi people back home in my local community of Queensland.
Are we done yet? Big gold star to all of you. You're all tremendously virtuous humans, and 2 gold stars to the mum with the baby on her hip. You get double virtue signalling points for your very, very brave stance for all parents. Yay. Now, what about the economy? Anyone? And national security? And your understanding of how the world actually works and the gravity of your role as a member of parliament? Does anyone really think that these people represent our best and our brightest? Obviously, our fellow Australians do, because they voted for them. Let's be clear. There's nothing noble or historic or good about the Welcome to Country. It's a straight-up classic neo-Marxist brainwashing technique designed to remind us all every chance the left can get that this is not your country if you can't claim to have descended from the people who just happen to inhabit these lands first. It's the "this is not your country" ceremony, an indoctrination, a propaganda performance piece, a key message repeated, repeated, repeated. This nation we have and inhabit is not country. It's a nation built by people from many lands this past 237 years and defended by their descendants, our ancestors, with their blood. The ancestors of all of us as one united people, not divided by race or special entitlements. The Welcome to Country is not just a nice thing to do, a nice passing tribute we shouldn't get too upset about. It's an insult, and that's why people get upset about it. It's a slap in the face, a punch in the nose to everyone who cannot claim to have a fraction of Indigenous heritage. It's repeated over and over and over and over to sow division. And that is racism defined. 4 people who are having none of the performative nonsense of this endless welcome to country charade that has made Australia a laughingstock internationally were the One Nation senators who rightly called this out for what it is, as Sky News Australia reported.
And pay respects to the elders past and present of all Australia's Indigenous peoples.
I haven't just done it recently, and it wasn't the first time yesterday. I've been doing it for the past 3 years. The other 2 senators that have now joined me, they are of the same opinion. They have had a gutful of this welcome to Parliament on the parliamentary floor every morning, plus also around the country. And the reaction from the public has been overwhelming. People are actually saying, good on you, you know, you're standing up for us, we're fed up with this, we voted against the Voice, we don't want this, it's overdone.
Overdone very deliberately and very knowingly. Just study the PR techniques of Mao or Goebbels or any other diabolical 20th century authoritarians. This is big state propaganda 101 stuff. Have you stopped falling for it yet? Because Elbow hasn't stopped pushing it.
The Welcome to Country is such a powerful way to begin a new parliament. Like a lot of the most positive things about our nation, we shouldn't take it for granted. This ceremony did not take place until 2007 and was controversial in 2007. It is not controversial today, nor should it be.
Did you get that, guys? It's not controversial. Did you get the memo, everybody? Got the memo? Elbow says it's not controversial, so that's it. You shall eat the bugs. You shall do as you're told. Or we'll get the E-Karen onto you immediately. Repeat after me. It is not controversial. Everybody is happy with it all the time, and it's a very respectful thing.
It is a respectful way of us beginning our deliberations here in Canberra, which of course means meeting place. What a Welcome to Country does is holds out like a hand warmly and graciously extended, an opportunity for us to embrace and to show a profound love of home and country.
It's not divisive. It unites us. Can't you feel the unity? Okay, so we've got the race virtue signalling out of the way. That's top of our leaders' agendas, of course, much more important than the economy or our national security, so tick for that one. Now it's time for the second most important thing in their minds, gender virtue signalling.
We're making history. We have the first majority female parliament in our history. And you can see from behind me that Labor has been doing the lion's share of that work. We also have the first majority female cabinet again in our history, and that means more women are in the cabinet room making decisions that impact on women. Having women in the room matters, and making sure women are representing across the country also does not happen by accident. You have to purposely do it. Yeah.
Because capability and merit don't matter. It's just all about making sure the numbers are up for the sisterhood and the gender balance is right. Of course, the Liberal Party are having none of this. Oh, wait. Here's a social media post from opposition leader Susan Lee from the first day in Parliament with the caption reading, "It's my first question time as opposition leader and my experienced team is ready." I guess the men are just for keeping in the back rooms these days, are they? Just who produces this awful PR garbage for the Liberal Party? It's so shallow and obvious and try hard. Yes, very good, Susan. No men in sight. We get it. Terrific. Very woke. 10 out of 10 virtue signal points for you too. Playing the left's games on the left's turf. That is not the way to guarantee success. How about changing the turf? Take advantage of the fact that the left-wing parties are simply obsessed with identity politics and make them justify their lunacy. How about you play on the turf of the economy and jobs and security, and God forbid your party's core values of supporting small business and liberty, the things that actually matter to Australians, really. How about you start leading and stop following? As a good friend of this show always says, the left are gonna left. You expect this garbage from the marshmallow brain people in Labor and the Greens. But the scariest thing about our country right now is that we don't have a strong opposition. And yes, I realise the Marxists have got their identity politics tentacles so deeply into our culture, our education, our media and our bureaucracy, both government and corporate bureaucracy. I realise it's going to be a long, hard road ahead for the Liberal Party. But when the only other option is extinction, you think they'd at least have a crack at putting up a fight. In other news this week, we lost a couple of real characters in the entertainment world with the passing of the men who brought us Hulk Hogan and Ozzy Osbourne. The Aussie biosecurity restrictions on US beef are being lifted. The reality is that Australia does use biosecurity as leverage and a kind of non-tariff tariff. And that's exactly the thing that Donald Trump's trying to prevent, so his tariff policy seems to be working for America. In any case, I wouldn't get too worried about this story, despite the media focus on it. Cattle Australia, which represents more than 52,000 grass-fed beef producers, says that Australia is unlikely to see a lot of US beef coming in as a result because we can produce beef a lot more cheaply here. So it's not a high-value market for the Yanks to want to export to. It'll also help keep Australia at the lower end of Trump's tariffs overall, and it'll help our beef exports to the United States more specifically. One story we should keep our eye on in America, which we don't have a lot of time to focus on this week, but I want to speak more about in the coming weeks, is the investigation by Tulsi Gabbard as Director of National Intelligence into the role that the former President Barack Obama and others played in deliberately perpetuating the myth that there was some kind of collusion between the Trump administration and Russia that enhanced Russia's meddling in the US elections. The mainstream media in the US are doing everything they can to downplay this because they bought into the myth and fell for it. But we shouldn't fall for the easy dismissals of this story as some kind of Trump attempt to take the focus off other things like the Epstein files. These claims about Obama and his team are serious, and they're backed by a lot of evidence from Tulsi Gabbard. So keep an eye on it, despite the attempts at dismissal. We'll be exploring it in future episodes. If you like The Other Side, one of the best ways you can support us is by signing up for the products of our sponsors. And one of our best sponsors is PIA VPN, the virtual private network that stops people spying on your internet activity. It'll keep you and your family truly safe from the prying eyes of big governments and corporations without slowing down your internet speeds. And you can watch Netflix or other streaming services using your regular accounts with them as if you're viewing from any country in the world. You can sign up for less than $3 a month and get a whopping 83% off the normal price. Just go to piavpn.com/otherside to sign up and you'll get the discount. And you'll get more info on those special deals if you check it out. That's piavpn.com/otherside. That was a segment clip from our weekly Friday night news show, The Other Side, which you can watch in full by simply going to YouTube and searching up The Other Side Australia. Then you'll find our full shows playlist. You can also find all of our full shows and our segments on our own website, othersidetv.com.au. That's othersidetv.com.au. Help us build a whole new Aussie media by joining us over there and signing up for the exclusive side.